Hello and welcome back to Kakepipe Automotive. In this episode, it's the end of an era. So after 5 seasons of racing, 13 podiums and a third in the championship of Hot Hatch in Class B, the Corrado will now be retired. She's a bit battle scarred, she's a bit worn, a bit frail, and I think now's the right time for me to retire the car and kind of end that period of its life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through the history of the car itself, where it came from, what I've done with it, all of its parts, all of its trick bits, kind of the upgrades that we've done over time, show you around the car, show you some of the battle scars, and give the old girl a good something to remember in visual format for you guys that have supported the channel and supported the car and myself as a driver, but also so you can see where we got to and how it's all now come to a close. So the car originally started off as a bare shell that I bought from one of my mates locally. It used to be a G60 in the kind of plum purple that's still on the car in places, and it was a show car. I think it came over from Belgium, but it had been imported to Belgium at some time. I do have the V5 still. It was a J-Reg Corrado, so what's that, 94, and then I took an angle grinder to it pretty much. I made it into the car it is today. Again, we didn't want to keep the G60 because why would we? They're just not reliable enough in a racing format. And I already had the VR6 engine, the 2.8 from a Mark III Golf that had low miles on it, that I already had in my Mark II Jetta that we track dayed for a little bit. But as we all know, a Jetta is literally a brick on wheels, really heavy for what it is, just a bit too square. It just wasn't primed for racing, whereas obviously the Corrado is a bit more sleek, a bit more aerodynamic, and a lot sexier as a coupe. So obviously when we got the car then, the first thing was to repair the rust. The rust on the car wasn't too bad. Those usual places underneath the filler cap where the fuel tank sits, the sills were a little bit scabby, so I just replaced them, put replacement panels in. But other than that, the car was generally in really good condition. You might be thinking, well, Stu, you know, you've absolutely destroyed such a beautiful car. No, I haven't. I have made this car what it is and its capability to where I've managed to put it. You know, the car has a limit. I have a limit of my driving ability, and I think between us, I'm happy where it's ending. I'm happy where we're closing this chapter. And you know, parts of this car will still live on in the new project, and parts of it will go to other homes, you know, so I'm not too fussed about that. So yeah, so let's walk around the car. I'm obviously not going to get under the car and stuff like that in this episode. You know, look back through the videos and you'll see most of the build logs as we go through. But we're going to walk through the car internally, externally, and just kind of talk about different things, a bit of battle scarring, a bit of knocks and scrapes, and what we've done. So let's do that now. Right then, so as you can see then, she is in a bit of a sorry state. Pretty much the whole front end at some point has been repainted with it's like a satin black, a hardware in satin black that you can get from most like auto stores like Halfords or Motorsave or Allwoods or Napa or whatever you want to call them now. This is currently the 4th front bumper. I've had 2 originals. This is an early model one, I believe. I've had a late model one on, and I've had 2 fiberglass concoctions that I've managed to pick up quite cheaply. One of the first things that we did do was get rid of the headlights because they were glass, obviously not primed for racing, because as soon as they smashed they were causing issues. So I literally sold them on for like 400 quid because they were pristine, no cracks, all the tabs were in place, all the adjusters were there. So I sold them on and made these aluminium blanking plates out of this checker plate. And the idea was I was going to funnel this to the Pro-Ram air filter you can see inside, but actually I just didn't bother in the end. We've put some little LED lights in both sides. Obviously that one's missing because of the crash at Croft, and the grill's missing because of the crash at Croft, but overall the front end's pretty much stayed the same. In there, just there, you'll see the splitter mounting points. They are from just Amazon, really. I think they're about 50 quid, but we've put these on about 6 different cars now, and they are stout, they work, they hold the splitters up, but you will need splitter ties as well, just to stop the middle flapping about, as it will. Not to get too in depth on the engine bay, but we've got some Spal high flow push fans, and they only come on when the engine's at a certain temperature and if I'm not doing a certain speed. So I think I've said it's like below 65 miles an hour. They come on, anything over, they kind of wind themselves down and just let the air flow through. You can see just in there, I do have a Mocal oil cooler. I've been through 3 of them due to various different reasons. Stones coming through them, smashing the trailer, trying to get it on in a rage, etc, etc. The splitter itself was only on for like 3 seasons. This is the 3rd splitter. One of them I tore absolutely to bits putting it on a trailer in a rage, like the oil cooler. The second one was damaged at Croft, and this is the 3rd. And again, it's just 12mm ply, nice and sturdy, it does its job, and then some garden edging around the side. As you can see then, the bumper's only held on with the obligatory cable ties on the side, but these little push buttons that you can get on Amazon for like £5 for a pair. Now the splitter ties are from Tiegua. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. One thing that we've struggled with over the seasons is heat management, and we'll get into the engine bay a little bit more, but the Corrado hasn't got a great flow at the front. It's just not that good. And I can show you some kind of aero diagrams from the documentation of Volkswagen, what they released and stuff like that. But essentially, the flow over the car and the flow through the car just isn't that great. So while what we were noticing was at full chat on track, the temperatures were fine. It was as soon as we slowed down to come in, they would skyrocket, and I'd be popping hoses and all sorts, and it'd just be pissing coolant out everywhere. So I put these in to help flow come out at rest. So when the car sat still, it's got somewhere to fuck off, and there's nothing in the scuttle panel, as you can see here. It's literally just a gap, and it just lets it come through. I don't know if me cutting out the scuttle panel was a great idea, but it's the idea I had. The wings, I don't know, man. I've cut them to bits, as you can see. I've tried to space them out. Oh, let me catch up. And space them out a little bit, and literally they are just as minimal as I could get them. So moving on to kind of the running gear then, and the wheels. These are 2 forged, blah 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 blah, forged kind of wheels. As you can see, they are battered, absolutely battered. Chunks missing, but they've still held pressure. They've done the job for the last few seasons. I got these from Darkside as a package deal because I bought like £2.5 grand worth of stuff from them, so they kind of helped me out with these. Custom ET. I went for these tuner bolts style because I quite like them, and as you can see, then we got some Leon, Seat Leon 4-pot calipers, the Brembo calipers, with some, I think they're M-Tech, just steel dimple grooved kind of discs. The discs are fucking heavy, don't get me wrong. However, I've never warped one, and I can outbrake just about every car on track. The stopping power of this is unbelievable, and no, I don't have ABS. So the pads I'm running are the DS 11.1s. Yes, they're an endurance pad, but holy fuck, I've never had fade, I've never had any issues. Yes, I've locked up a few times when it's got a bit damp and greasy, but other than that, outstanding, absolutely outstanding. So yeah, really happy with the braking setup. So let's move further around the car, standard stuff. As you can see, we have had quite a few bumps and scrapes. The doors are absolutely fucked. This was actually my first season. This was my first contact with a guy called Jared, and he just managed to turn into me. Nothing malicious or anything, but it was like kind of the first dent of the new, nice looking car, because it was pristine at a point. But obviously over the years we've got some scratches. As you can see, they're pretty much, I've been down barriers, I've been sandwiched in between cars and all sorts. So the rear setup then is, we do have the Polo GTI non-conical or conical or whatever, non-tapered hubs, because literally they are shit. They just either come undone, they get loose, or they fucking break all the time. So I had to replace them, and we did that. We've just got some normal red stuff pads, as you can see, on normal calipers, nothing special, because actually there is minimal braking on the rear. As you can probably see through there, we are running gas golds. They are actually made for a Mark III Golf and not a VR6. It was the only ones available. I bought them and they've actually been fucking brilliant. I'm not sure if the weighted oil is correct for the weight of the engine on the front, but you know what? The car has performed so well and come on so good over time that I've just not changed it. What I have changed is the spring rates. I think I'm on 750, 650 on the front, 750 on the back, and actually it's performs super good. I probably could have gone up on the back a lot more, but in actual fact I didn't need to. I didn't feel like I needed to. So yeah. Right, the exhaust system is full cat or pre-cat back. It doesn't have a cat, it doesn't need one for racing. It's not newer than year 2000. It is a Jetex exhaust system, full with a decat pipe on there. However, this came off the Jetta and the tailpipes would have stuck out here. Obviously the Jetta is a bit longer, so I cut them down, re-welded it, and it's been superb and it sounds fucking mega. So when we go for sound testing, they say this is the quietest car on the grid under sound testing, but yet the loudest car on track. Yeah, whatever. Obligatory rain light, as you can see, smack where the Volkswagen badge would be. Yeah, so obviously it's got Lexan glass, Lexan windows everywhere, it's not glass. And as you can see, this was my NASCAR inspired stop wobbling around attempt, and an attempt to seal it. It never sealed in its life, so don't ever do this. Get pre-cut glass at 4mm and you'll be good to go, but you will, I think you will still need some kind of support in there, else it's just going to wobble around under you know, when the air comes over the top at high speeds, and it's just going to flap about. So for the first 2 seasons I ran with the spoiler down. You're not allowed active aero on track in my championships that I entered. It has to be fixed, and obviously the Corrado does come with active aero as standard. Pretty fucking cool. So what I did was, because these the original stands are plastic and they break and all sorts, and people push on this, it was a case of I've got to make something. So I managed to 3D scan the original ones and get the angles right for some cut tubes, and as you can see, it's pretty basic. There's a plate underneath, there's a plate on top, there's a plate there, and the original mount, if I can show it, you might not see it, actually works. So a bit of ingenuity to make that work, but it did. Standard lights, yeah, whatever. There's no rear crash bar in the back. I took it out to make the car lighter because they are silly heavy and they rot. But yeah, I got rid of that. So that's pretty much it as a chassis. Oh, sorry. We are on the Mark III Golf wide track, rear beam and front chassis, you know, all the subframe and everything. And it is fully hard bushed. The Polyflex black everywhere. The engine mounts are solid. They are, I can't remember the bloody name now, but we'll have a look in a second. So some of the damage then that's happened to the car. Fortunately, I've been quite lucky in my racing career so far not to have too many incidents. A lot of them I've been either squeezed in the barrier, as you can see, there's a few scrapes and stuff down the car, or I've been sandwiched to a degree. But the two major incidents were on the front end, and they were both at Croft. So my first full season, the first race was at Croft, and I was racing a BMW in the Class C, and I was in Class B. They're quick little cars, right? And I was trying my hardest not to let him past, and I put a rear tyre on the wet grass. It pulled me in, and I bumped this front end into the tyre barrier. Yeah, my bad. It was all my fault. I learned a lesson from it, not to push too drastically on cold rear tyres, and that taught me a massive lesson. Then the next major incident was this side at Croft in my last season, in the last season of this car in 2025. And this is where a majority of the damage come from, and that's why there's no front grille. The headlights are blank in place with shit. The wing is bent up. I'll put some pictures up and stuff like that now for you to see. But essentially, yeah, it was a massive impact. It bent everything. The good thing is the crash bar that I made, which is here, that you'll have seen in some videos, actually saved the whole car. Yeah, it was gnarly, but actually saved everything. Right, so I think now we'll move on to the engine bay, because that's all the trick stuff that makes it go quick, and then I'll show you a little bit of the inside. Okay, the bonnet actually might stop a bit of wind noise while we're at it as well. So, front end, like I said, eBay aluminium special radiator. It's worked brilliantly for the last 5 years. The only thing is, and I would suggest this to anyone that's got an aluminium radiator, run some, one, descaler, and two, like a dishwasher tablet through it. Every so often, like at the end of the season, just get the crap out, because they, trust me, on the VR6 engines and most engines, they will fill and block. Ask me how I know. So let's start with the intake. Yes, I did this intake. As you can see, a big issue within the intake system is that the throttle body is directly over the exhaust, the manifold. What a shit design. But it is a design we've got to play with. So I've heat wrapped everything I can. I've tried to minimize that heat soak as much as I can, but we've generally got the intake temperatures down to about 38 degrees on a hot day. So actually I'm not too worried about that, and we mapped it on a really hot day, so actually it performed quite well. I've got an OBD1, I believe. OBD1, oh no, OBD2 manifold. But as you can see, it's got drive-by-wire, and this is a throttle body from a W12. It fits straight on. Again, you're not going to be able to do this unless you're on standalone, etc. But there are other variants you can do as part of the OBD2 swap. All of the rest of the stuff is pretty standard, look, you know, you can see I'm still on standard injectors. Yes, I'm using the 4-bar pressure regulator kind of thing, but I'm on standard stuff. We've got a fuel temp and pressure sensor that's hooked up to the ECU. That's pretty much it. Oh, sorry, no, that's not it. The head is port and polished by Cosworth. I should have an image, I'll put it up now. Beautiful work, absolutely outstanding work. I'm sure that really helped with flow. The upper and lower intake have been kind of port matched and flow matched. The lower one was done by Cosworth, the upper was done by me. The exhaust, I did a whole episode on the exhaust of kind of trying to eke out a little bit more flow from that. Go watch that, I'll link it in the description. but essentially it's on a standard manifold still. It's just a bit ported and welded and, you know, made to flow a little bit better. In the head we are running Piper road cams. They are the you know, like, not OE cams, they're the next step up. They're not rally cams, they're not high performance cams. I think they're like 262s or something, like 264s. No, 262s they must be. I couldn't get 264s in the time frame I needed. All I wanted was a little bit more out of the engine. That was it. Not to go stupid, not to add loads of horsepower, because I was bang on anyway, but I added a bit of weight and I did a few things, you know, so I needed to get that horsepower back, etc. So this engine, as it currently sits, was mapped at 192 horsepower on a silly hot day by PVE down in Somerset. Thanks, mate. I really appreciate your help with this engine and the ECU tune and everything. So yeah, that's kind of the engine setup. Standard blocks, standard pistons, although I did have the pistons coated, and I rebuilt literally everything from bearings to oil squirters, you name it. I've rehomed it all myself. So the engine's been fucking bulletproof. Like, it's always performed. However, I will say this, and this will go with the engine when it gets sold, is you could probably do with the hydraulic lifters being replaced. One, you can hear it. It does disappear after a while, but you can hear it on startup, and I don't like it. So replace it if you buy this engine. Just warning you, this is not foreshadowing, but I'm going to be honest about it. So as you can see then, we are on race engine mounts, all round. We're on the aluminium coolant housing, because the plastic ones just keep fucking breaking. I've got a stainless steel crack pipe, got fucking sensors everywhere, you name it. It has got the Mark III Golf power steering set up. The box. So the box is from a V5 Mark IV Golf. I think it's the FBK code. Essentially, we've got an SQS plated diff, and we put it to 120 Newton meters of preload, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure. This gearbox has only just been rebuilt for this season, and it's been outstanding. Last season we stripped a synchro and a bit of third gear, and Marty from Gas and Gears helped me out with that, bless him. I know I was a bit of a pain in the arse, but he did help me out, and that's the kind of guy he is. So one thing that we've had an issue with every season is this drive shaft, the shorter drive shaft. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it from here. I cut and welded that and made myself a shorter drive shaft. Essentially what was happening is the drive shaft was pushing the balls into the cup was then getting destroyed, and then you know, it was kind of pushing the bolts out, and we were either the bolts were coming in done, or the drive shaft was breaking right here because the balls were being pushed through. Since making the shortened drive shaft, that has been on all season, never come loose, never had an issue. So yeah, I think that solved that. So if you are having that issue, shorten that drive shaft. You could probably do with shortening the longer side as well, but yeah, it's always that one that broke. As you can see, I've got a bit of heat management going on down there to try and stop some heat soaker knocking around. Custom catch can, I think it's overkill, but because it's bigger than a 2-litre engine, you're required a 3-litre catch can, and that's what that is. Yeah, whatever. We can argue about it all day long, but it is what it is. Top mounts are from, I can't remember, YT Motorsport. I don't know, I can't remember where I got these from, but they're brilliant. As you can see, I was running 4.5 degrees camber at most times. The only problem was this top mount will come loose after every race, and you'd hear it knocking, even if you Loctited it and whatever else. So yeah, I don't know, it might be the thread that's a bit loose, but yeah. So pretty much the idea was to keep this engine quite standard. so I could go and buy another engine, throw it in, and just bolt on the ancillaries or the head or whatever, and go and still have the same kind of horsepower. Now, we know in reality that's not always the truth, and we know that that doesn't always equate to how you want it to work, but generally that block, that head have been original from day dot. I've just had a bit of work done to it. Oh, and yes, we are running the Kakepipe cam trigger, the stainless steel one, and it's been faultless for the last 4 years. So yeah, I can't really complain about that. So moving on to the interior then, you may notice, and a lot of people don't like this, it is butchered. So let's start with the cage. As you can see, I made this cage. Well, I didn't make it. Custom Cages made it. I welded it in and I painted it myself. I TIG welded this in after getting certified and everything, and I'm super happy with it. Like, yeah. Door cards. Again, I did a whole episode on restructuring these doors to make them nice and light, to get all the weight out as much as I could. As you can see, you've got custom panel at the top, a little plastic door card to stop the scrutineers moaning, but that's it. So we are using a Cobra Monaco Pro seat. Man, I've had these seats fucking ages now. I think they're out of date at some point soon. 2022, and then what is it, plus 5 years, so we've got a bit of time left on these. So let's go through. I am using a quick release, an NRG quick release Boss. I've got the AIM Solo mount there, I've got the side light switch there. As you can see, I'm running a Mark 7 GTI pedal. That's to go with the drive-by-wire, and that goes to the ECU. Oh, come on, phone. Thank you. The switch panel, I've done a whole episode on. The Garmin goes there, the switch panel and everything like that. You've seen all this before. Really basic, really standardized across the board. Nothing really else to explain here. 4-speed shifter knob, as standard. Willwood brake bias. I don't recommend anyone use these because I have no idea whether that's the right place or not, and to be honest, I might have turned that 8 times and still not known if it's in the right place. So get a lever style one if you're doing this, and the next car will have 2 lever style ones. I just don't recommend this at all unless you've got some way of sensing the brake pressure. Yeah. Marshall Lifeline fire extinguisher. Nice and compact, and the reason it's there is because the passenger seat can still bolt in and your legs go over it and you don't kick it about and knock it and pull the cables. Pretty standardized. As you can see though, loads of shit gets thrown in here, like the jack and tools and stuff like this. When we're going to a racetrack, it's battered, whatever. The sunroof, obviously stripped out and sold instantly. It was really good working sunroof, and we've just replaced it with some Formula Lexan. We are running a Varley Red Top battery, heavy as fuck. I don't recommend it. However, I've never had an issue with this battery or its charging capability or power capability. And then let's scoot to the back. As you can see, yeah, it's empty. That's the whole idea. Make the car nice and light and go, really. So as you can see, we've got the harness bar in there. I added that rather to triangulate this part of the cage, but yeah, that's about it really for the car. In a whole, she's very simplistic. That's the whole idea of a race car. You make it simple, you make it easy to work on, and you send it. So yeah, I'm sad that this is retirement for the car. I'd love to keep her, but the thing is, the next car is part of the bloodline, so I'm happy about that. The next car will be quicker. It'll be a lot more car. It'll be a lot more competitive. No, it's not Japanese. It's still got a Volkswagen badge, but I'm sad that the girl's going. You know, she's going to be not cut up, but sold on to live elsewhere in different formats. You know, there's plenty of really nice parts on this car that people might want. Yeah, it's a shame, but I don't have the space to have 2 full-time race cars, and actually I'm probably never going to race this again. So it's time to let her live on with other people and retire as a race car. She's had a bit of a beating, and I know some people are going to say, hey, you know, but Ken Lark's been racing his Corrado for 25 years. I know he has, and he's got, like, I can't commend him enough for what he has done with that chassis and that car over the time he's raced it. You know, but I want to move on. I want to, you know, newer tech. I'm a young lad. I want newer tech. I want quick. I want agile. I want it to dance without putting in just a lot of money into a chassis that's quite old. You know, I'm being out chassied in a lot of the race series, so it's time to move on. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to miss this car. I am going to miss this car. It's been a labour of love, and I've done everything apart from the rolling road. But even then, at that, Steve at PVE has really helped me kind of understand the tuning of a natural aspirated engine, with the timing, the fueling, and all the other stuff that goes with it. And that's why it is on the max ECU. So for me to learn, for me to develop and do what I can and add that kind of functionality where I wanted it. Yeah, so again, 3rd in the Hot Hatch Championship in Class B. 13 podiums for car number 13. So yeah, that's it. End of an era. I just want to thank everyone that's watched our videos, subscribed, liked and commented, or even bought parts to help me fund the racing, such as the cam triggers and etc. Or even come to a race and watched us and spoke to me. You know, I really appreciate all of your time and your efforts. Yeah, stay tuned. The next project's going to be released. We are working on it, and the whole build series is going to be put up. So please stay tuned for that. Yeah, I'm excited, but I'm also sad about the old girl. But the parts will live on in other places. So thanks for watching, guys. Stick around and we'll see you later. Bye, Felicia. Job done.